All right, boom. So starting with chapter one, you saw the intro that we did, and I think it's interesting that he starts out the book with the woman who wants to give up, who wants to quit. She owns a preschool, and she's like, "Hey, I'm writing this, let you know I'm broken. I'm in debt. Business ain't doing good. Haven't taken a salary, and if it wasn't for my kids, she said I'd kill myself. You know, she would commit suicide if it weren't for her kid." And a lot of business owners might not have that extreme reaction. However, they have been in that position before, a similar position. Um, Meaning that on the outside, everything might look glamorous to people, but only the entrepreneur knows that, hey, I'm not really making any money. I haven't taken a salary since I started. You know? And that's the part of business that people don't really understand. Like, just because you're making money, and that business can be good, doesn't mean you're profitable. There's a difference between being profitable and being a successful business with big revenue. What type of people have you run into like that, or have you experienced that yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Man, I tell you, with my cleaning company in particular, on paper I was doing, well over six figures, but as far as my actual bottom line, after all of the fees I had going on, after paying all of my workers, after so many different things, I was
Mm.
barely making, and then I had a nerve to have expensive personal bills. So, I
Yeah.
wanted cars, I wanted to show off. I'm driving, got a Range Rover, had no business having a Range Rover. You know what I mean? And that's what I get. You know what I mean? And the engine blows on them. I got to let them, forced into repossession because of that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely been there.
Yeah, man. And that, I think that's the story of a lot of business owners. We look at, I was saying last time on the call, like, you look at businesses been in business 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden, you like, somebody filed for bankruptcy, or they lose their house, or they close the business. And you're like, dang, I thought they was everybody knew their name, but that doesn't mean the business was being run right.
Right.
Because unfortunately, nobody has really shown us how to do that. You see the many zeros in your bank account, you start spending.
Right.
I got a friend who is a barber, and they experience that a lot. Barbers and hairstylists is they got all these clients, they busy all the time, they bringing money in, they got cash in their hand,
Right.
but when the smoke settles, they really not making any money. You know what I'm saying? They're still struggling to pay bills, the vast majority of them, maybe.
Yep.
You know, and like he alludes to in the book, and we'll discuss it later, the key to a successful business and being a true entrepreneur is being able to step away. And that's one struggle that stylists and barbers have, is they can't step away from that business. And in general, small business owners have, where if they go down, the business stops. So we'll be talking about that. So just going back to what she said, being at her wit's end. But the truth is, she had the tools necessary to succeed. She was closer than she thought, but she just didn't know how to use it.
Right.
And he also talks about the mantra that we hear: work harder, hustle hard, sleep when you die. Um, that's what is instilled in people, and that's what they think of when they think of being an entrepreneur. But the truth is, that's not the smartest way to run your business or your personal life, for that matter. Who wants to walk around not getting any sleep? You
Right.
don't want to be any waste to your family once you get home, from working. If you're working all night, when are you talking to your wife or your girlfriend or your kids or your mom, for that matter? You know what I'm saying? The quality of life drops down if you really implement those things that people are talking about. So he offers a different solution, and in that solution is basically saying that you can set up your business and run like clockwork. So let's get into the first chapter.
Okay.
The first part that I have highlighted is when he met with the productivity expert. Remember that part?
Yeah, at the little cafe, I think it
Yeah,
was.
he met with the productivity expert, and the guy was like, "Man, what I've been teaching ain't true, so I'm just gonna quit because it don't work." And that's where we are. And I heard on the call last time, a lot of people saying, um, I'm they're looking for productivity tips, hacks, apps, and all of that stuff is good, but it kind of leads you back to the same solution of doing more work. Once you become more productive, you free up another hour in your day. Now you're probably gonna fill that hour up with more work. You
Right.
know, especially if you're the only person that's doing it.
Right.
So if it's not implemented properly, that productivity don't really work for everybody.
Yep.
Um, any comments on that?
Yeah, definitely, man. And like, cause it's funny when I read it and he said that he was like productivity is crap, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm thinking that's the new thing. Like I thought I just caught on to something, but it was like what, he's right, because the moment I freed up more time, exactly, I started filling up more things to do. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like that circle, like you were saying.
One thing, this might seem like a weird connection, but one thing I thought of when I heard that was how social media has this meme culture,
Oh yeah.
and everything is distilled down to these few little words, uh, like sleep when you die, which is cool. I understand the meaning behind it, but a lot of people misinterpret it. So
Right.
it really means you work hard. We do work hard. We're gonna continue to work hard, but we also want to. There's more to it than that. Not saying just never get any sleep.
Right.
And so the
And
same thing with productivity. Uh, Productivity is cool, but there's more to the story than just being productive. Because
right.
if you're spinning your wheels, you're just gonna speed up the rate at which you're spinning your wheels. And
Exactly.
so I like what he said, productivity gets you in the ballpark, but organizational efficiency gets you hitting home runs. That's when organizational efficiency is when all the gears of your business mesh together in harmony.
Right.
Um, so he refers to it as being near death. And in his other books, he refers to it as entrepreneurial poverty. People look back on their business 20 years later and they realize they've just been surviving that whole time, just barely getting by. I think I heard that the average small business makes about 70,000 per year, and there's
Right.
no telling how much of that is actual profit.
Right.
So when it's all said and done, people who have good jobs have it better than most small business owners.
Right.
Especially when they're not paying themselves anyway. So the key is, or the goal is, to get out of that and create organizational efficiency. Just that word makes you think of something large, something bigger than yourself, creating an organization that works together. And once you do that, now you're able to branch out. Now you're able to focus on how you can grow as a business as opposed to just surviving. So he calls the survival trap a never ending cycle of reacting to whatever comes up in your business. I'm sure you experienced that before.
Absolutely.
Um, I was speaking to a guy on the last call, and he was just saying that he was tired of doing everything himself. And I remember being there as well. And at some points in the month, I'm still there, so I'm still working on it. But I just remember being stuck because I was reacting to everything that was coming up. I wasn't ahead of anything.
Right.
Every time you looked up, it was putting out a fire, jumping on this problem, jumping on that problem, and trying to solve it. And it was a never ending stream of those problems. And so until you achieve organizational efficiency, you're always going to be reactive instead of proactive. Any
Right.
thoughts on that, as far as, like, from your perspective, as far as the consulting services? I'm sure you learned running the business owners that are doing things
Yeah.
like
Definitely. Like I think the number one thing I always get is the solopreneurs where they're cleaning all of these accounts, and it's like they say, well, I can't find good workers. Workers don't want to work, and I'm like,
yeah.
well, how many applications have you taken this month? How many interviews have you held? And it's
Yeah.
not one or two. It's like, well, first of all, that's step number one, and then also it's like they get in this. It's almost like ego. I think it's more of ego where they think nobody can do it but them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my clients will kill me if it's not me. And I'm like, well, you got to explain to how you going to scale up an actual business if you are the only one, cleaning it. Like I tried to tell them, if you went to an auto mechanic shop and the CEO of the company came out and got up under your hood with their suit on, like you'd be like, what you doing? What kind of business you running around here? And
True.
that's the thing. You got to look at yourself in.
True. 100%, man. And I would say also the people that ask me for advice or like, ask me questions about business or small business owners, sometimes I tell it to them unsolicited. That's the biggest thing I see. I'm like, you can't continue to do everything yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like they don't want to accept it. Now, when you're talking to somebody and you tell them something, and it's true because you already experienced it, but you can see that it doesn't connect with them when you say it. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. You can tell when they're not getting it yet. And it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear them. They hear you saying it, but you can tell they not feeling it. So you telling them like, you can't do this. You can't do all the work yourself. You can see them like just shaking their head like, nah, I'm gonna continue to do it because I can't find nobody to do it as good as me. And I know right away, man, you're gonna crash and burn. Because that's what happened to me. I got burned out. I was doing everything myself, and it just wore me out, man. I had to hit a brick wall to be like, okay, I got to do something different. And I only did it, I prolonged it because I was cheap. I didn't want to hire anybody else. I didn't want to hire contractors. I didn't want to pay for nothing because I knew how to do it. It's just that it's only one of you though. So, and it's a certain amount of time in the day.
Very close to me, they went down. They have a cleaning business too. They went down, got in a car accident. What business you got now? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a business anymore. Luckily for that person, they had a savings account, but it's like even still, that money runs out. You need cash flow.
Yeah, that's still like a huge hit that some businesses can't recover from.
Yeah.
And so he says that sustained profitability depends on efficiency. You can't become efficient in crisis. Because in crisis, you justify making money at any cost. And I've seen people be at that stage where they need the money so bad, they'll take on work that they don't have time for. They'll take on work with people who they know are shady and they probably shouldn't be doing business with. Winds up biting them, they don't get paid, or something of that nature. You'll do anything because you need to keep your lights on because you're in crisis mode all the time. So until we get out of crisis mode as business owners, we'll never be able to grow and to build something that's sustainable. Any comments on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it reminds me of, I made up my mind in my cleaning company. I only want to clean offices, offices with carpet. It's kind of clean environment because they're easier to hire for. And a lot of times I would get opportunities for restaurants, and it was tempting sometimes to take those restaurants, knowing that I probably wouldn't do a good job in there, but I needed that quick money though. But it was like, you got to be able to say no, not be in that desperate state. So.
And cleaning the restaurant is 10 times harder than cleaning the office. Right. I couldn't imagine, man. I know we used to spend when I worked at fast food, we used to spend a whole another hour afterwards cleaning the place. I thought I got off an hour ago. Nah, you got to clean up.
All right, it's good money though. For any of my clients watching, don't let me discourage
you. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you specialize in, that's also like knowing, like we're gonna talk about in these next steps, is the queen bee role. What's your queen bee role? Once you define your queen bee role, you know what to focus on. You know what to say no to, and that's what a lot of businesses are missing. They try to do everything, and they wind up not becoming proficient in anything because they're trying to do everything. I'll take any kind of work that comes to me. And so nobody knows. You don't have a name or a brand and you're not known for any one thing in particular because you're trying to do everything.
Right.
Now he talks about the 7 steps to make your business run itself. Number 1 was your 4D mix, which was a real huge revelation for me when I read that. The 4Ds are doing, deciding, delegating, and designing. And seeing where your company is in that 4D mix, see how efficiently you're being run and if you're actually operating a clockwork business. So that was huge. Number 2 was declare the corporate queen bee role. So that's the core function of the business. What's the biggest determinant of your success? Number 3, protect and serve that queen bee role. Number 4, capture systems. So that means document and record systems you already have in place. I'm sure you learned so much of that from working with a franchise system. Yeah. And realizing how important that is. That's one of the benefits of running with a franchise. Like, you realize it's a franchise for a reason. We don't just wake up and figure stuff out in the day. You know what I'm saying? There's a method. There's this many ounces for this solution, and this is how fast it should take you, how long it should take you to go through that. And these are the steps that you go through to clean a building to make sure it's done properly. Here's your contract. All of those types of things are true. Yeah. So number 5 is balance the team. Adjust the roles. This was a huge revelation for me currently in my business, because he said, instead of a top-down organization, think of it as more of a wheel. And don't restrict your employees to one job function. I was like, wow, because people are good at certain things. And so they can do more than one thing. So just because you hired this person for this function doesn't mean that that's the only thing that they can do. And we need to treat it more like a wheel. So instead of hiring 5 people to do 5 things, maybe one person can do 2 and one person can do 3 of these tasks on a regular basis, and that will all work like clockwork. So that was huge for me. Number 6, make a commitment. Devote to the process. Serve a specific customer need in a specific way. Number 7, become a clockwork business. You know, free the business from dependency on you, and free yourself from dependency on the business, and that's the ultimate goal. All right, so he has at clockwork.life, they got all the diagrams and the forms and the questionnaires that you can use to analyze your time. And that's the first thing he did. Just go ahead and, he says, go ahead and analyze your time, basically see what you're spending your time doing every day. And that's the first step in analyzing where you are in that 4D mix, and then breaking up that time and deciding who can help you and what systems can help you run more efficient. Any comments on that?
You know, I just started implementing things like that, and it was just funny that I read that right at this time when I'm starting to do better at that. You know, then I created a performance chart just to start charting. Like, for example, I have a lead generation service that's based around cold calling, and my callers, they'll submit like appointments that they get, and sometimes it's just a submission and it's a bad lead, it's a bogus lead, we throw it out. And then other times I actually confirm the appointment and we'll keep it. And so at first I started off just tracking the confirmation, you know, the good ones. And then I thought about it, wait a minute, I need to be tracking the submissions too, because I need to see, okay, well, you know, there's probably a correlation in there about, you know, how many confirmed ones you can get, you know, in relation to the submitted ones, you know, because if you're not submitting, it's just like sales, the more you submit, the more you probably get your close on. So, you know, just little things like that that I learned, like, you know, I got to track every little thing. And sometimes, even with us, well, I don't know about us, but I'm speaking for me, but as us, as small business owners, we don't want to take the time out to actually go back and track these things, but it has to get done because that's the only way you're going to get efficient.
True that, because he talks about that in the book too, taking that time out and even starting with, you know, 1%. Like, just take 1% of your time, take it at the beginning of the week to be able to focus on that designing phase, which is what that is, so that you can, you know, help your business run more efficiently, because that's the only way you're going to move forward. And it, like we said before, as long as you're reacting to everything, you know, you're always going to be playing catch up. I also like the example that he used in here about the people who ran the I believe it was a design business or branding business, and she got sick. She contracted West Nile.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then in 2 months, they were out of business because she was the linchpin for everything. Everything stopped with her. Nothing could get done without her signing off on it. And with her being out of the business, everything stopped. You know, so that's how, like you said, the example, the person who got into a car accident, it can happen. It can happen to anybody. And once that happens, for most people, that business is going to stop. Yep. Then it goes into the 4 Ds, like we talked about. Doing, which is basically whatever it takes for you to deliver your service or your product to the end customer. Deciding, that's like asking questions, trying to figure out stuff. What should I do now? Delegating, of course, getting someone else to perform a task, and then designing is supporting the vision for your company, the top-down view of where we're going to next. And I highlighted also, as a business leader, your time is best spent designing work, not doing the work.
Right.
So your goal is to get other people to help you with doing, so that you can oversee the business and design the business in the proper way. Any comments on that?
I just think that's the biggest one. You know what I mean? That's the biggest point so far that I took out of those first couple of chapters, man, is, to get back to that, because like you said, like that's where this all started, was that vision, that the visualizing and the designing of it. And then, when you first started, just you. So you have to do it. But as you grow, you can't forget to get back into that design and then get away from all of the doing. So.
So, and then I highlighted, you said, by becoming a designer of your business, your role is to define what the company is marching forward, identify the landmarks that signify process, equip yourself and your team with the tools, and then establish strategies to make the path easier, faster, more efficient. And then he gave the example about the study that they did with dropping people off in the middle of the forest or in the middle of the desert, and put a GPS tracking device on them. And then as long as the sun was out or the moon was out, they were able to walk in a straight line. That's the only task they gave them, walk straight for a few hours. But when it got cloudy, or when there was no moonlight, and when the terrain was rough, people just walked in circles, without even knowing it. They just walked in circles. All they had to do was walk straight. But once these like barriers in your business and challenges come up, it's really easy to get thrown off of course. And that can very easily happen if you're the single sole person who's running your business. It can even happen based on personal things. This is what nobody talks about. You could just be having you can be having problems in your marriage. And it could affect your business, throwing you off from that designing phase and really overseeing everything, having a clear vision. Right. He also talks about Scott Olford, and he quotes him and says that the biggest problem that no one has taught entrepreneurs is the mindset of delegating. It's not that they don't know they need to delegate. They just need to get into the mindset of letting it go. You said something about that earlier, like the ego of people not wanting to let go of those tasks. And then when they're committed to it, they need to do it the right way. We just got to get in the mindset of delegating stuff, and making sure that we have the right team of people around us so that we can actually grow the business. Then he further talks about the 4D mix, and it's good that he has a graph in here. He talks about what percentages he thinks the 4D mix should be. 80% doing, 10% is designing. What do you say? Get it right. 10% designing, 8% delegating, 2% deciding. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Because
deciding can be a really huge time waster. If you're sitting there trying to figure out what you're going to do all day, you're not getting anything done. So we shouldn't be spending too much time on deciding what to actually do. And that happens during the designing phase. If you design correctly, you won't have to spend a lot of time deciding on what to do every day. He also uses the task of delegating, but having all the tasks still come back to you. You delegate certain things to people, and then they still got to ask you for help every 5 minutes. And so it defeats the purpose. So instead of one person asking you for help, you delegated to 5 people. Now you have 5 people asking you questions, sending you email.
Right.
And what I learned with bringing new people on board is that you just got to trust them. Of course, they don't know how to do it as well as you, because it's not their business. They haven't been doing it for long enough. And you got to let people make mistakes. A lot of us they want everything to be perfect every time. You know what I'm saying? When in actuality, a mistake is the best opportunity for you to teach and show people the proper way of doing things. So it shows me pretty much somebody makes a mistake, shows me I didn't make this clear enough when I was explaining it. And so here's an opportunity for that. So let me document this so I can make sure that when the next person comes along, I can explain it more clearly so they don't make that mistake. But you really got to just empower people and really trust them that they're going to do the job. And like you said, that goes back to, hiring the right people. I was speaking with an owner of a Chick-fil-A, probably like a $5 million Chick-fil-A now. And I asked him what the hardest thing was about his business. And he said, finding the right people. That's has been his biggest struggle, is getting right people on board and keeping them in place. He was also trying to recruit me at this time too, but I wasn't looking for a job. But yeah, he said that was his biggest struggle, man, finding good people, because that's what allows the business to run smooth. And then also he gives an example of how any business can be systematized. Any business can use that McDonald's concept. He gave the example of a painter who wanted to streamline his business. And so what he did was he paints the faces and he hired people to paint the body. That was the thing he was the best at. That was he was known for, and that's what his customers were looking for, the faces. He painted the faces. The other people paint the body. He grew this large, very successful business. Any comments on that?
And I think you covered it. Yeah, but I think you nailed that though.
Cool. All right. And then pretty much he just says clockwork in action, and talks about setting up your business so that you set the goal of taking that vacation. Start taking time off, even if it's 1% time off. Start working towards that and see what that business looks like. And that pretty much concludes the first 3 chapters of the book. I'm probably on like the 5th chapter. I already read it before, but I'm reading it again. I'm on the chapter 5 right now. So it's a good book and good to be refreshed on this stuff. See the other stuff that I read but didn't implement. So now I can go ahead and do that now. So any comments, your thoughts on the book before we wrap up?
No, I already been recommending it to people just off of, the first couple of chapters I'm reading, man. It's like, even though, I'm aware already of, you got to have the system, I'm already aware of, I can't do it all myself, but it's like, it's still, like you said, it's good to always stay refreshed on this stuff, man. And I'm still learning everything, I'm always learning from it. So yeah,
for sure. Good. And then I read this probably at the end of last year, man, and still to this day, I think this is the best book I read in the last couple of years, as far as like it being right, exactly what I needed during that time in my business. Yeah. And I think it's a really simplified way of creating a systematic business, for people starting from scratch. So if you follow the steps in it, I think it's be really beneficial. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this year I'm a lot more aware of what's going on in my business. I'm a lot more ahead of things as we grow, and I haven't been playing catch up as much. So that's always a good thing. What about yourself, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a battle, that's for sure. You know what I mean? I feel like, I ain't gonna say it's always gonna be a battle, but I can see the progress though. You know what I mean? Like approaching it from a system standpoint versus approaching it from just trying to make money. You know what I mean? Or approaching it from, you know what I mean? Like actually building a business and being okay with, reinvesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hired from day one, like from the very beginning. I hired this time around because I knew, you know what I mean, that I don't want to get stuck doing anything. I never, like even with my cold calling service, I never ever made one cold call because I said, you know what, I'm not a professional at this. I'm not good, but I'm gonna hire somebody who's better at it. And it's just like he was saying in the book about delegating, and deciding. It's like kind of like teeter-totter in there. Like I'm pretty good at delegating, but I still do deciding too when he was talking about having people coming back and asking you every 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, that's a job too. And I had to empower my case manager. She's like the one that runs my lead generation service side of things. And I told her, I said, look, you know what you're doing. Like I trust your judgment. You make the best call. I trust you on it. And she's been that selling, and it's got to the point where she actually implemented some new things, changed a few things around, and made it even better than what I had it. So I mean, everything he's saying that I read is great, and then I'm learning more on top of what I already kind of knew and brought to the table. So
Cool, man. I'm glad to hear that, man. And what's the biggest challenge that you're facing in your business right now?
right now, probably mastering my internet marketing. I know that's something that you do well. So I watched a couple of interviews. I don't know. I watched an interview with a couple of your interviews actually. I've been stalking you. Once I saw how when I saw your company and I just saw your story and saw you from Fort Worth, I was like, man, who's this guy? But anyway, I saw one of your interviews, that you took a course on Facebook ads and kind of got that down. But I can tell you got it down because I get Tyler and Twine ads following me everywhere. So so I can tell you're doing something right. But
It's like, whatever you gotta, I see what you're saying, because you got two sides to the business. You got one where you're saying lead generation.
right.
And then you got other side where you're actually promoting. I'm assuming you're promoting your consulting services.
Well, it's just like I sell digital products.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I don't do like too much one-on-one. Everything is always a setup and a system. I don't want anything. I'm telling you, when I say like I'm really trying to.
So promoting your digital product. So promoting your digital products is pretty much what you're trying to do.
Right. Just trying to get that promoting better. You know what I mean? And I'm okay at it, but I think too is more taking the time out to make quality visuals, the content for it.
Or hiring somebody to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I learned too. Cause when I first started, I did my own Kickstarter campaign, did all the graphics, I shot all the video and all that stuff, right? And because I like doing that stuff, and I'm semi good, I'm better than average. And so I started taking all of my own pictures, but as we grow, I realized I can't do that stuff no more, man. I can't be sitting here editing the video. I got people that's really good at this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I hired a graphic design company. I worked with a few contractors to do my videos and my photos. And they like doing that stuff. So, instead of me spending a week trying to do that and getting away from everything else, I just hired them to do it because they're good at it. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
the thing.
Yeah.
It's like even right now, I'm launching like a new little product or whatever, and it's like I'm spending all of this time, designing my site and getting everything right, making sure the funnel was perfect, and it's like I probably should hire that out, right?
Yeah. It's all about what you think your core competency is as far as like what you're going to work on.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, everything else. That's the guy that I get all of my. I put it in chat all of my internet marketing and stuff from. Ever Fire stuff. So I've taken a bunch of his courses, even like email marketing and all my Facebook marketing stuff. Pretty much comes from him. And
did you it comes with the book you just mentioned? I went up there earlier and I saw that you had to enter your email and your name and stuff to get the little free tools.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Is it like pretty useful stuff up there for the most part?
Yeah, there's stuff that goes along with the book, but yeah, it's some good stuff with it.
What about the actual pay when he has too? Did you join that?
Nah, I didn't join that because I didn't feel like I needed it.
Right.
Like, if you go through the book and you got like a semi-system set up already,
right?
You don't really need. I think it's just like, again, instead of if you don't want to take the time to do it yourself, you might want to hire somebody else to help you walk you through it.
Right.
I think like we just need little tweaks here and there, and I was already on that path anyway. So.
That's kind of how I felt about it too. It was like, I don't think I pay for the, you know what I mean? But,
I'm gonna show you this. Send you a link to this podcast that I listen to.
Okay.
These people are on point as far as like Facebook ads. And even like every time the algorithm changes, anything that's updating, they know about it, and they pretty much like are cutting edge as far as like, getting the word out online about your stuff. So those two are pretty cool. That's who I
I
recommend to
appreciate
everybody.
that.
But yeah, man, any questions for me? Anything I can help you with?
No, I just wanted to I wanted to tell you this too, because I was like, I saw your video on the new hustle with the course creators, and like when what you said about that, like people like that's basically the new hustles. People always trying to, you know what I mean, sell a
Oh,
new course to
yeah,
people.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like you ain't even done nothing yet. So it's like,
Yeah.
and that's why I go out of my way, like, you know what I mean, like to show people, look, I'm actually building a company. Like this ain't, I'm not, you know what I mean, another one of these course selling dudes. Like, yeah, I got a course, but it's like, I mean, like, I actually done this, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, man.
but I respect that though. Like, that's how I feel, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm young too, and so people a lot of times they'll think automatically assume like I'm with them, and I'm like, no, I ain't with them. I mean, like I just started so early, you know what I mean? My first
I
business
feel
was
like honestly, nobody even, man, people don't even know they get scammed out here. Because
right.
as you and I know, I can sell a book that's 100 pages and have the
Right.
last 50 pages be blank. Most people wouldn't even notice it because they're not going to finish it. They're not
Really
going
know.
to. I think people notice, so they just put out BS products and people just take it, pay them money because they're popular. That's what
Right.
it's turned into. Like if you pop on Instagram, people, I love her stuff, but you ain't started no business yet. You just follow her
Right.
and commenting and liking. You ain't doing nothing. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But they know what you and I know about information products is just like it's one of the best products to have.
Right.
Because you only got to make it once, and you can revise it, but it sells itself. Like you don't have to put in the effort. Once you created it, it's just there. People just buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a gold mine if you do it the right way. And so, but I think that's one thing you should talk about though when you're introducing your services is your track record. It's like immediately hearing about what you did and how you came up in the industry, it makes sense. You know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't take long. Like when you told me immediately, in the first 30 seconds, I already knew you knew what you were talking about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like people just don't have that level of qualification. They just be like, I'm doing stuff. I read
Right.
something today, man, about this girl. You probably heard of her, Marie Folio.
Yeah, I heard of it. Yeah.
You heard of her? She got this thing where she got, she one of the biggest influencers. She been on Oprah show and all that stuff, right? Millions and millions of followers. She started doing coaching when she was a bartender.
Wow.
Now she coaching you on how to run your business.
And she ain't.
She's serving drinks. They don't even own a business. You know what I'm saying? That's how crazy it be. But like, you see where the height she ascended to. I'm sure she probably knows something about running the business now.
Right.
But you was selling stuff when you was actually a bartender. That's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at it like, so that's something I would never personally do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like not judging you, but it's just like, man, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but hey, it's a girl. I actually bought a course from a girl like that, and it's like I knew better, but I did it anyway. I'm like, this girl ain't never. I mean, she never done it. I said, you know what? She's you might have heard her, Danielle Leslie.
never heard.
Okay, they probably wouldn't target you anyway, you two. But they is a course on how to sell courses, basically.
A lot of people like that. A lot of people like that.
And I did it only because it's like, damn, I saw she posted her little screenshots or whatever, and I just
of how much money she made.
Right, and she kept doing it. I said, man, I know better, but you know what? And she's like, I'm gonna go ahead, you know what I mean? And it was like, this, but
I seen her before. I just pulled it up. I seen her before.
Yeah.
I see her ads on Instagram all the time. I was like, why do they keep showing me this every day?
Right. And then she posted that one day she did 100,000 in one day. I said, man, let me see what this girl doing. But her course don't teach you anything that nothing that she's.
But you know what she got? Because I just came back to mind when I saw her website. She got excellent marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
Her stuff is A1. Her pictures, her videos, A1, bro.
Yep.
She knows how to look credible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
One of those companies too. One of them forgot what it's called. So she knows like all of the inner workings of all of that stuff, the online course stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't know she was finessing though.
yeah, I mean, hopefully we're not still recording. I won't want to do that.
But you know, I mean but that's just your, you know, your opinion on it. But it's like, honestly, just like you just told me, most people who buy them courses, they're not gonna go back to them and be like, hey,
Right.
don't buy this because it ain't really got no information in it. Because you don't want to look like a hater. You don't want to tear people down. They trying to do their business thing. You know, we sympathetic to other business owners anyway. So
Right.
it ain't like it's a scam. It just ain't that good. You know?
Right. Right.
But yeah, man, I ain't gonna keep you, man. And you can reach out to me anytime, bro, if you have any questions. We can connect. You know, if you come back to town, let's connect. And other than that, man, we'll see you next week. Shoot, if anybody is on here.
Okay, man. All right. Appreciate you, man.
All right, you have a good one, man.
All right, you too.